Hello.
Hello.
So, how was things going this week?
Well, things was, kind of rough sometimes. Some rough spots. We had a group, and this guy said something. I thought it was more directed at me than anything. But and I said something back. I didn't get up though, and approach him or anything like that. That's what I used to do. But he said it wasn't about me, but I still don't believe him. But I just try to let it go.
Okay. All right. So, it sounds like you may have handled that pretty well. How you feel about how you handle it?
Part of me feels good, and part of me feels like I was a punk.
Okay. All right. So, how would you normally handle a situation like that?
I normally would have handled it as getting up, getting his face, approaching him. He didn't want to fight, make him fight. Best man wins. You
Okay.
know,
But you're satisfied with the way you handled it this time?
yeah,
Pretty much.
the outcome was better than usual.
Okay. So, what about when you were using?
Oh,
You ever get angry or anything like that when you were using and created a physical altercation or
yeah, most of the time, when I was using, I was drinking too. So, like we get in an argument, words are said, you know, invade the other person's space, they invade my space, and after that, pushing, shoving, punches, whatever, then the police come, then they push and shove or whatever, and majority of the time you in handcuffs in the back of the police car, going down to the precinct, to the county, same old, same old.
okay. So do you think you have anger issues? Or is anger something that you think you might want to work on?
Yeah, I need to work on it.
Okay. So let's talk about anger cues. Do you know what those are?
No.
Okay. So physical anger cues is when you start to get angry. Something happens before you get angry. So your palms get sweaty, you start sweating, your heart beats faster. Does any of those things happen to you?
Yes.
They do. So what happens? What happens first?
My body starts shaking,
Okay.
heart starts beating, heavy breathing, you know, jittery, just want to attack,
Okay.
you know.
So, have you ever noticed a time where you've gotten to those points and it was explosive?
Majority of the time it is explosive.
So, on a scale from say from 1 to 10, what would you consider as explosive for you in regards to anger?
I don't understand.
Okay, so on a scale from 1 to 10, would you say that 5 is an explosive level for you, or would it be 10?
8.
So about an 8. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, okay. So let's just reflect back a little bit to last week. So last week we discussed, what did we discuss last week? Last week we talked about your dad and your relationship that you had with him, or the strained relationship that you have with your father. Um, have you thought about that anymore this week?
A little bit.
Tell me about that.
When you say thought about it, what do you mean by that? Like, did it cross my mind, or did I like dwell on it?
Well, not necessarily dwell, but I know that you mentioned that you and your father had a strained relationship. That you speak to him maybe 3 times out of the year, and I was just wondering if you had an opportunity to think about the relationship that you have with him. If you thought about maybe trying to regain a better relationship with him, do you also think that part of your anger may stem from situations in your childhood with your dad? That's a lot of questions at one time, but I just wanted to give you something to think about.
Yeah, I've thought about it. I don't know if I want to get a relationship with him or not because I don't want to do. I don't want to know if I want to put that work in. Because I feel as though he should put the work in.
Okay. So you feel like he should come to you first, or he should initiate.
Initiate and admit is wrong.
Okay. So if that was to happen, would you be open to speaking with him if he came to you? What does that look like to you? If he came to you and he apologized to you and admitted all his wrongdoings, what does that conversation kind of look like to you?
I don't think he got it in him, but if he was to come, he'd have to I'm sorry for what I did, this, that, and the other. But actions speak louder than words. Just because you say it, does that mean you mean it? I've said things in the past I didn't mean.
Okay. Okay. So, what would you want if you could have a relationship with your dad? What does that look like?
What does a relationship with my father look like? Ugh, that's hard to say because so much things have happened in the past. What would I want to do? Like, if you take away the things that happened in the past,
Mm-hmm.
then it'd be like, yeah, we talk on a regular, we hang out, barbecue, uh, go to a basketball or football game or whatever. But I don't know if that can happen like that, because of everything that happened, Like, he used to hit on my mother. I told him I was going to kill him. Like, how you get past that? Just because you say I'm sorry for what I did, that don't erase the past.
Okay, understood. All right, so I know we talked about writing in your journal. We talked about that.
Yeah.
So how'd that work out for you?
You told me to pick two goals,
Okay,
or at least two goals.
I did.
And the one goal I picked was to try to stay clean and sober.
Okay.
And the other goal was to get a job.
Okay. So those sound like two very good two good goals because um they're in order, right? So you stay clean and sober, and then you try to find a job, try to find employment. Um, what type of employment are you looking for?
Oh, HVAC. I got a license for that. I don't know if it's expired, but I got a license for HVAC.
Okay, so there's some things that you need to do in order to get a job. You need some community service, not community service hours. I mean, so you need some community resources to help
Yes.
you with that,
Yes.
right? Okay. Do you know of any community resources that can help you? Have you ever utilized community
With
resources?
DVR.
Okay, what's
DVR.
what's DVR? What does that stand for? I think that
Division of Vocational something like
I think
that.
it's rehabilitation.
Rehabilitation.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. Okay. So that's good. So it sounds like, we're moving towards continuing care, which is fantastic. So I just want to go back just a little bit with the substance use, okay? Is that all right with you?
Yeah.
Okay. So we talked about your anger and your frustration and your feelings towards your father, how you feel about that. Can you tell me what are some of your traps and your triggers? Do you know what those are?
With my father?
Well, no, not with just your father. Anything. What are some triggers when you drink, when you use drugs? What are some of your triggers that makes you want to use?
Oh, boredom,
Okay.
excitement,
When you say excitement, can you elaborate on that?
uh, watching a good football game.
Okay.
Greg, I need a beer.
Nice.
you know, getting angry, somebody pissing me off, feeling as though somebody disrespected me. I want to be a part of.
Okay. Do you have any hobbies?
Drums.
You play the drums?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I read music too. I just don't play the drums.
Okay, so one of the things that seems to usually work with people who are, trying to, stay clean and recover is that we try and put something in place of the other, right? So if a trap or a trigger is boredom, what do you think that you can do to try and, do something different, change your patterns of thought to help you not use?
I can get back in the drums
Okay.
and get some drumsticks and a drum pad. That way I won't make a lot of noise when I hit
Okay.
it. You know? This guy was telling about how he go to meetings. I'm like, really? I mean, I've tried it before, and I know some people that's in the rooms and they've been in there a long time. And every time I come back, they say, wow, hey, glad to see you. Give me a hug.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering, like, do they really mean that? This one guy been there 10 years. I'm like, wow.
Okay. So that might be something you want to look into.
Yeah.
Well, name meetings and name. I mean, the self help meetings they can be, that could be another avenue that you can use to alleviate some boredom.
Mm.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm willing to give it a try. Something's got to happen. I can't keep doing what I'm doing.
Okay. Okay. So, how's treatment?
Treatment is treatment.
Okay.
Treatment is I like to think that I'm in here trying to do something, trying to get better, but everybody in here is not trying to get better. And, some negativity in here. I try to stay away from it, but sometimes, it's hard to stay away from it.
Okay, so how does their negativity affect you?
It affects me because I don't feel like hearing it. I don't feel like being around it. Everything's a joke or funny, or they try to start stuff for no reason at all. And it's like, if you don't like it, just leave. Like, why you here? So I just try to remove myself. But, I mean, everybody in here ain't like that. But, some people just want to be a part of. I've been there, done that.
Okay. So I know, during our assessment, during our first session in our assessment, you talked about excessive drinking. Have you ever tried Vivitrol or anything like that to help you with your drinking or your opioid use? Have you ever tried anything like that before? Or would that be something you'd be interested in? No?
I heard about people taking Suboxone in the street, but they were taking it just to get high.
Okay.
Like, that's what it's for, to get high, right?
No. No, it's not. The only reason I'm asking is because, I just wanted to know, like, your thoughts and your feelings on it. By no means am I suggesting, that's something that you do. I just, wanted to know, like, how much you knew about it. That's basically it. I know that, some people, it helps, but it depends on their situation, how long they've been using and what they're using and so on and so forth. So I just,
No, I don't.
Your thoughts on it.
I'd rather try and do this clean I don't want to what they call it, substitute one drug for another.
Substitute one drug for another. I
I don't wanna do
understand.
that.
I
know.
understand. Have you ever been to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting?
Yeah.
Do you think there's a difference between Alcoholics Anonymous and NA?
Yes.
You do? Okay.
Yes.
And why is that?
In Alcoholics Anonymous, they don't talk about drugs.
Okay.
And if you try to talk about drugs, they shut you down.
Oh, okay.
In NA, you can talk about liquor, and you can talk about alcohol and drugs.
Okay. All right. So what's our plan? What's our plan for recovery? So we did the journal for the most part, right? You did, the journal, and you identified 2 goals, and your goals were to stop drinking, right?
Yes.
And to get a job. Do you have, besides DVR, do you have any other ideas of how you could probably, seek employment, get employment? Do you have a resume, anything like that?
I used to have a resume.
Okay.
But, probably needs to be updated.
Right. So one of the needs right now that I'm seeing is that you need assistance with resume writing, right? Because you need to get a resume.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is that we're looking at the self-help meetings, NA and AA. And we're also looking at community resources to assist you with job training or, looking for getting a job. So we also mentioned DVR as a place of reference. And is there anything else?
As far as for a job?
For a job, for anything at this point.
I could reach out to some of the, I don't know if I could reach out to some of the jobs I had before.
Okay. Okay. So we also talked about your father. That's kind of, not an area that it seems like you really want to.
Not really.
No, really. Okay.
Not really. But I mean, it's not going to be an overnight thing at all.
Okay. Okay. Do you have any other family members that, significant family members that you think could help you in your recovery process?
My mom's.
Okay.
Me and my mom's real close. I talk to her at least twice a week. I try to.
Okay.
I try not to put too much on her though because I took her through enough.
Okay. So I know the last time we talked also, we talked about your social skills, how you don't like to talk to people that much.
No. So
is that something that you want to work on, increasing your social skills?
How do I do that?
Well, I mean, so sometimes we're in a specific place where we're real comfortable at where we are isolating, not necessarily isolating, but just not speaking to people, talking to people. I think one of the things that might be good for you is if you can identify, starting off small, identifying just a couple of people that you feel you can trust and talk to, and start from there, and just kind of like learn how to, speak and talk to people and whatever your viewpoints are about, whatever. But you have to ask yourself, why don't you like to talk to people? Do you think they're going to judge you? Do you think that, what are your thoughts about not being social?
Yeah, they're going to judge me, take advantage, say something stupid,
So what's the difference in your social skills being intoxicated opposed to not being? Can you compare those two?
When I'm intoxicated, I'm around people that's drinking anyway already,
Okay.
and most of the people that I drink with, I know. So, and sometimes we get in arguments and fights too.
Okay.
But I feel like I can talk more when I'm drinking, drunk, high, whatever, than I can when I'm not.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess I let down the wall.
Okay. What is the longest period you ever been abstinent from drugs, or if you have, what did that look like? If you hadn't, that's fine. But just curious.
You mean in this, out without being locked up?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 96 months, maybe. I don't think it was 6 months. Maybe 4 months.
Maybe 4 months. Okay. Do you remember what was going on during that 4 months that helped you stay clean?
I had a job, you know. A couple of guys on the job, they didn't drink, you know, and I was hanging out with them sometimes. We go to a football game, a basketball game, whatever. You know,
Okay. And how did that feel?
felt strange, but, you know, I had a little money in my pocket. It felt strange, but it felt good too because I wasn't getting in trouble.
Okay. No jails, no nothing. You didn't get locked
Nah.
up. You weren't having any fights and stuff like that. You were
Nah.
just kind of, living. Okay. Okay. So, when you think about 5 years from now, what do you see?
5 years from now, what do I see?
It can be a year, but I'm just looking in the future. Like, what do you see? What would you like to see?
What would I like to see? I
What
like
would you
to
like
see
to
5 years clean, apartment, nice car, girl, you know, being able to function on a daily without a drink or a drug, you know, being able to work through my problems without acting a fool, you know, maybe trying to advance in the HVAC as far as taking another test and be I don't know, a supervisor test or something like that. You know, I don't know about my father. I don't even want to try to get into that. You know, he's just an asshole. It is what it is.
Okay.
So, I don't know.
Well, it sounds like you know.
Mm.
It sounds like you know. It sounds like you know where you like to go. So you're at a great point where you're starting. So you're in treatment. You've identified some goals. Um, you talked about what you would like to do. So there's some hope. Um, you want to stay clean. You're interested in going to the AA and the NA meetings. Um, you have your HAVAC license. At least you're not sure if it's expired or not, but you have it, so you can do what you need to do in order to get it recertified. You also mentioned resources at DVR, which is fantastic. So you have something going.
Mm.
So everything that you mentioned this evening are good things. I applaud you for, not getting into any physical or verbal altercations with your peers, even though, you say that, everybody's not there for the same reasons and it can be a little stressful sometimes, but you're not feeding into that, which is fantastic. So that's growth, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
That's growth, right? So I applaud you for that. That's fantastic. Okay, so let's discuss what we're going to do for the next session. So our next session, if you get an opportunity to get in contact with what I would like to see, what would you like to do? Let me ask you what you would like. What would you like to discuss in our next session, or what would you like to discuss? What would you like to work on for your next session? What do you want to talk about?
Getting a job.
Okay, so you want to talk about getting a job. All right, so we'll talk about getting a job. So then your assignment for next week is going to be you have to reach out to DVR. You have to find out what the process is in order for you to get an appointment at DVR, right? And maybe do some job searches. Yeah, and also research NA and NA meetings online. You can start there since they're not doing anything in person, so you can find that out. And I'm going to give you an anger meter, and I'm also going to give you a feeling.
What's an anger meter?
So an anger meter is a format that identifies when you get angry, so you would mark it off. So if there's a situation going on in the program and something happens, kind of like what you said to me tonight when I asked you about, how things was going as far as your anger, what level is explosive that you feel. So on the anger meter, what you would do is when something happens, doesn't have to be immediate, but just if you can remember that feeling and you jot it down once you get back to your quarters. So if John really, really made you upset, I just want you to write down a little line on the meter. If it was like from 1 to 10, how angry were you? Okay. And then we'll discuss, how you was able to, de-escalate that situation, how you was able to calm yourself down. Some relaxing techniques, and I'll let you know, is that, deep breathing. Sometimes counting from 1 to 10 is good. The other thing is that you want to think about a happy place. Sometimes we have to sit back and think about a happy place. Close your eyes and think about a happy place. Okay, so those are some techniques that you can use, all right? But I'll give you the anger meter so you can jot those things down. And we'll discuss the job search. All right? So I think that's that's a pretty good start, for that. But I do want to also, the next session, we're going to, talk a little bit more about your substance use and things that you can do, to help, with the traps and triggers and, the changes that you would like to make. All right? Okay. So thanks for coming in. It's good seeing you. I'll see you during our next session. All right?
Thank you.
Okay.